Happy New Year! I'm James.
And I'm Joy, and welcome to our January book haul.
2020 has a lot of good reads up its sleeves, so let's dive in.
Woo!
So if you fell in love with Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry by Mildred D. Taylor, you'll need to pick up All the Days Past and All the Days to Come. It's historical fiction and the can't-miss conclusion to the saga of the Logan family. It's set in 1960s America, and the book follows Cassie Logan, who is only 9 years old in Roll of Thunder. Cassie is now a young woman and has returned home to Mississippi after college. Her family must face post-World War II America, and it's unforgettable to see the rise of the civil rights movement through Cassie's eyes. This book absolutely needs to be on the top of your TBR if you're a fan of YA classics.
And if you could describe it in 3 words?
I would say it's empathetic, indispensable, and unforgettable. And it's on shelves January 7th.
Okay, so on a very different note, let's talk about what would happen if Purgatory was in an airport. Yes, the tagline of this book is one of my favorite things ever. It says, she's about to take the trip of her afterlife. We love that.
Yeah.
We love that. Anyways, this is the story of Bee, who, according to herself, deserves to go straight to hell, but ends up instead in the afterlife airport, where she's in for quite the surprise. And that's that if she wants to catch a flight to heaven, she has to help 5,000 souls figure out what's keeping them from moving on.
5,000 is a lot. Dang.
5,000. So it's like the Ghost Whisperer meets the Good Place, if that makes sense. But things go way downhill from there, way fast, when she finds out that the boy, who was ultimately responsible for causing the accident that ended her life, is one of the first souls that she has to help. So things get complicated.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Layover Land is coming out January 21st, and my words for this one are unique, funny, and wild, because this book is wild.
So if you're looking for some more magic in your life, you'll absolutely love this next book. Like The Brilliant Death, its sequel, The Storm of Life, is a unique blend of fantasy, historical fiction, and a gender-fluid romance. Following the events of The Brilliant Death, Theodora de Sangro is finally free to use her powers of magic openly, and she has also begun dating Cielo, the fellow Strega who helped her accept her powers as well as herself. But their home island of Venalia, which is a magical variation of 19th century Italy, is plunging into chaos. Every Strega in Venalia, including Theodora and Cielo, is at risk of capture or worse. The book's cover literally says their love will transform the world, and it really does, let me tell you guys. My 3 words for this book are transformative, daring, and downright devourable, and it's on shelves January 28th.
Next up is Alex and Eliza, and I can hear people singing Hamilton at the screen from here. If you're a fan of Alexander Hamilton, and now I realize it's kind of hard to say his name without singing it.
It really is.
A little bit. But if you haven't jumped on this series yet, now's the time because they're in paperback. As of January 14th, you can get them all in paperback. It's the love story of Alex and Eliza, and in 3 words, I would say it's legendary, adorable, and pretty, because look how pretty they are. So get on it, and don't throw away your shot.
You got that joke. Next up, we have Let's Go Swimming on Doomsday, which is out of paperback this month. It's a contemporary thriller, and it follows Abdi, a 16-year-old living in Somalia who is thrust into a world of dangerous espionage when the CIA captures his family and offers him a deal. To secure his family's freedom, Abdi must infiltrate the terrorist organization that kidnapped his brother. This is a book about young people living through violence and the lengths that you'll go for the people that you love. My 3 words for this book are thrilling, emotional, and surprisingly tender, and it's on shelves January 14th.
So next up, in the paperback world, because I am a big fan of historical fiction right now, we're talking about Someday We Will Fly by Rachel Dwoskin. It takes place in Warsaw, Poland in 1940, and Lilia is 15 when her mother disappears, and her father flees with Lilia and her younger sister, Naomi, to Shanghai, one of the few places that will welcome them. It's this heartbreaking journey as they start a new life with little to no money, no work, no decent place to live, and worst of all, still no idea where Lilia's mother is. But it shapes a gorgeous tale about hope and strength and the lesser-known history of the 23,000 Jews who took refuge in Shanghai during the war. This book comes out in paperback January 21st, and my 3 words for this one are engrossing, detailed, and sorrowful.
Out this month in paperback, we finally have the conclusion to the fantasy duology that began with Reign of the Fallen, and that conclusion is Song of the Dead. So many readers have connected with Odessa as the complex bisexual heroine that she is. and it's awesome to see her story reach its thrilling conclusion. Odessa, who you might remember is a necromancer, finds herself journeying away from her home of Carthia aboard a ship with her not-quite girlfriend Meredy. But the return of an old enemy soon brings Odessa and Meredy back to Carthia, and Odessa must figure out how to save Carthia and its ruler, Queen Valoria, without being allowed to use her powers of necromancy to raise the dead. The paperback of Song of the Dead includes the exclusive prequel short story Rise of the Sparrow, which is set before the entire series and before Odessa killed King Wilding for the first time. My 3 words for this book are edgy, lush, and that is a page turner, and it's on shelves January 7th.
Next up is Flowers in the Gutter by K.R. Gaddy. Flowers in the Gutter is a non-fictional story of the Edelweiss Pirates, a group of working-class teens who not only survived, but resisted the Nazis by whatever means they could, even when they knew it would cost them their lives, and for some of them, it did. It follows the story of Gertrude, Fritz, and Jean, 3 young people from working-class neighborhoods in Cologne, beginning with their preschool years at the dawn of the Third Reich in the 1930s. It's also photo illustrated, which I think is really cool. This one comes out January 7th, and my 3 words for this one are impactful, intriguing, and memorable.
We're finally at our picks for January, and we have a little friend to help me introduce mine. Everyone meet
Penny!
the Puffin. So you might have guessed that my pick is The Conference of the Birds by Ransom Riggs. So you might remember that in the previous book, A Map of Days, Jacob Portman and his friends discovered that America's society of peculiars is dangerous and not at all welcoming to outsiders. America's peculiardom is divided into 3 clans who are so territorial that they're on the verge of civil war. Miss Peregrine and the other Imbrins have brought together the 3 American clans for peace talks in a gathering known as the Conference of the Birds. But tensions are running high, and a single misstep will ignite a peculiar war in America. Also, following that, cliffhanger ending from A Map of Days, Jacob has rescued Noor Pradesh, an undiscovered American peculiar who is a light eater. Like, she can literally eat light.
Cool.
It's a really cool power.
Mood.
It's also really easy to turn off the lights that way. Anyway, Jacob and his friends must keep Noor safe after they learn that she's part of a prophecy that will determine the fate of all peculiars, both in America and in Devil's Acre. That's partly because the Whites, that's W-I-G-H-T, are back as the villains of the series. And Jacob and his friends, Horace in particular, must figure out what the Whites are really after. The Conference of the Birds is on shelves January 14th, so if you haven't pre-ordered it yet, do it now for bird's sake.
Okay, so my first pick of 2020 is the sequel to Orphan Monster Spy, and it's Devil Darling Spy by Matt Colleen. The year is 1940, and Devil Darling Spy follows Sarah, a Jewish girl who goes by the name Ursula and basically gets by pretending to be the Shirley Temple of Nazi high society. But actually, she's a spy, and soon, rumors of a rogue German doctor playing with germ warfare in Central Africa catches her attention. And Sarah sets off to track him down before that weapon can be used by the Nazis to murder people by the thousands. It's super readable and not a short book, but I read it very fast. So if you've been watching these book hauls, you know that I have a crazy short attention span. And this book kept me very entertained. So another reason I love it is the setting is really interesting. It takes place in West Africa, where a mysterious disease is taking out entire villages. The descriptions of what the disease has done and the terrifying symptoms it brings, not to mention the super high stakes, are all really intense, and I loved it. 3, it reminded me a lot of one of my favorite books, actually, which is called The Hot Zone by Richard Preston, and that's nonfiction. And the reason that made me love it more is because reading The Hot Zone, which is the true story of a deadly virus from the Central African rainforest that suddenly appeared in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. one day, made the events in this book not feel very far-fetched, and that made it a lot scarier. So if you like deadly virus kind of scary, this is the perfect read, and it's out January 21st.
So what would your 3 words for this book be?
So my 3 words for this one are readable, terrifying, and compelling. Thanks for joining us for our January book haul.
As always, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and tell us what you're reading this month down in the comments. Bye!
Bye.